what does success look like to me? What am I driving towards? And those things are very personal. It's amazing what you can accomplish when there's trust in the room. And when you remove that trust, it's remarkable how inefficient you can become.
And when you've got guys around you who are buying into your vision and pushing towards the same thing, it's energizing.
Alrighty. Well, this is fun. This is the first time that all four of us have been crammed into this space together, which is great. And I think the cameras pick up on all of us, which is nice.
At least.
And if they don't, then we got Seth, so we're good.
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah. And so, for sake of clarity, we have Josh, which most of you would know by now. We have Joel, which most of you would know by now. We have Chris Weeb, who is been part of our crew from the very beginning before we ever did a podcast, like 6 months before, I would say, when we started talking about doing different things of this nature. And so Chris has been working largely in the background to this point in the stuff that we've been doing, but not in the background of, as far as the four of us. You've kind of led a lot of the different thought discussions and stuff that we've had to this point, which we've hugely appreciated. And you've also been one of the, you tend to drive. You tend to like to get things done once you have a bee in your bonnet. And so you help to keep momentum going, I think, which is a pretty natural place for you. And we're grateful for that because I'm the kind of guy that's like, yeah, this is great. Let's just go easy. And then Josh is usually like more keen on hitting it hard. And then when you are also there, like, no guys, we got to do this. And then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah. I appreciate Chris for that. Somebody who helps push things along even more than me. It's like,
yeah,
I like getting things done, but Chris holds us all accountable to make sure it does.
You push hard typically at most things in life, but you push so hard sometimes that other things that are on the fringe will like kind of fall away, at least for a season, which is partially due to the nature of your work.
Yeah.
But you tend to be quite formal in that, like, if we're saying we're meeting once a week, we're meting once a week. And if we're not, there better be good reason. Like, that's how I feel.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, which has been great. Because I just think that, like, the different personalities that we bring to the stuff that we do is what makes it rich.
Especially that we each have unique leadership roles in our businesses.
Yeah.
And then we're all working together collaboratively on something.
Yeah.
It's interesting to be leaders in one context and still leaders, but in another context.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because, like, in a sense, in the primal sense, like, all of us have, like, certain pieces of alpha in us, right? Like, it's just what it is. Like, there's certain, like, we're prone to leadership. We're prone to, like, if there's going to be someone that's going to, pull the deer off the highway, we'll do it, right? Like, that's kind of like how we are. And so in this setting, though, I think what we've been learning to do is defer to each other's strengths, in a sense. Would that be fair?
Oh, yeah.
I think even just respecting what each of us brings to the table.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess is probably just another way of saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say we actually hold each other accountable to stay within our strengths. That's the thing that I've appreciated about this group is it's very easy for all of us to get caught up in the weeds and be putting out day-to-day fires. And I like that this group keeps each other accountable to be like, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Stay, like, this is your role. These are your strengths. Stay there. And yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun year.
Well, not just stay there, but I mean, I would say we would like to help even to reveal those strengths, because sometimes they're so natural that we completely miss the fact that we're actually good at it. And then to actually help each other grow in it. Because, well, I think about the one thing at the AGM where I kind of pointed out that that's probably not something that should actually be on your plate. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not because you wouldn't be able to do it. It's just because it would not be natural for you to do it. And there are other people that would be able to take it up more naturally, and you could focus on other things more appropriately or more naturally and thrive in it. And so I think being able to support each other in more specific ways has that value.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said that multiple times at the AGM.
Maybe it felt that way, but
only a couple times.
But it's a good reminder.
Yeah.
No, I certainly appreciated it.
Yeah.
And it's also good for the other people around us to see that accountability too, which is something that when we did the AGM all together, I think that was one of my favorite parts, was having you led our AGM, you chaired the meeting, and you bossed them around. You bossed us all around in a good way. And it showed quality leadership, and it wasn't me just holding my guys accountable. We were being held accountable by an outside party. All of us were, and I think it was a very healthy lens for my stakeholders to see. So
Well, and I think that's a huge part of the heart of the Forge Contractor Alliance is, like, I think often I'll be at home chatting with my wife and I'll mention one of you, and I think I probably don't often say it out loud, but I think internally, I'm like, man, I wish that Chris or Kenton or Josh actually worked in my office so that they would see stuff day to day. Like, here's the things that Joel's working on, and here's the conversations he's having. So I could get the kind of feedback that you're talking about, where it's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You should be doing something different. You haven't operated in your strengths this week. You've been just putting out these little fires, and having you guys in my corner, like I feel it when we have these conversations, when we connect in person or over the phone. But I often wish that I had more of that. Yeah. And that's really the heart of this Forge Contractor Alliance is, I think almost all business owners in the trade space are wishing that they had brothers or sisters in their corner that were there going, hey man, like, don't get stuck in that, operate in this thing that you're great at, and here's some ideas and whatever, and being that for each other, because I know I don't do a good job of sticking to what I should stick to, and and not falling into these traps over and over again of mediocrity and whatever. It's that idea of being in each other's corner and seeing, speaking, all that stuff. It's
question though, do you think it's easier for us to hold each other accountable to that thing because we aren't in each other's offices every day, and we've kind of got that arm's length distance that we're holding each other accountable, but there's a little bit of a separation that we're not in the same business working day to day?
I did a little bit of consulting in my time off in between jobs, and I actually took a few weeks where I rode along with another trades business owner, and I didn't really charge a lot of money for it because I just wanted something to do, and it sounded like fun. And so I got to know them very quickly and told them right out of the gate that that's what I was going to do. And it was actually a really cool opportunity to practice that. And it was far more practical of a opportunity, I suppose, than you might think. And so maybe it's more of a personality thing or a context thing, but I don't think that it's specific to just how well we know each other or how we operate. I think it's more based off of the fact that, like, well, we have leadership experience and we can speak to what we see, and it's more of an opportunity. More of an opportunity kind of thing.
And a third person view is a different view. Like I do a fair amount of editing. Editing is kind of part of my character, I guess. And when you edit, you're not necessarily editing because you're a better writer than somebody else. Sometimes that's the case, but that's not always the case. Often it's just because you're a different set of eyes. And the different set of eyes, and I think you're right, it's not as much as how well, you know that other set of eyes. It's like, it's just simply being different and having experience. And so my argument from editing, and I actually listened way back in the day when I was in journalism school, I listened to a debate between people who thought editing was really important and others who thought that it kind of oppressed the writer in a sense. And so it didn't allow the artistry of the writer to come through, essentially. And so one of the questions raised in that discussion was like, is the editor a better reader than the average individual? And the people that were editors argued, yes, we are, because we read all the time and we read with this certain intention, which makes us better readers. And I think that if you change the R to L and we become leaders, and sorry, that was bad. Come on, work with me. It's early in the morning here. But from a leadership standpoint, I think that's very much the same. It's like if you spend your life thinking about leadership and working in that capacity, you're gonna be more aware to how someone else is leading.
I think one of the other things that I've really come to recognize too is that the way that I typically think about leadership is actually from more of a coaching perspective. And so actually with the NRCA, they had Angus Reid come up and speak one year.
Sorry, what's the NRCA?
The Northern Regional Construction Association.
Thank you.
Okay. And Angus Reid was a linebacker for the BC Lions. He played for like 13 years. And so he was actually a riveting speaker too. So I definitely give him props for that. But he presented on the topic of how his coach really inspired a great career in him. And it totally shifted my thinking on my own leadership and how like I needed to be more of a coach to my team. And it's interesting even in this context, like how we've kind of grown to start coaching each other, or even with some of the other consulting work that I did, you know, working as a coach for them as well. It was just kind of a cool opportunity to be on the sidelines and speak with experience on what was happening.
And coaching, I've thought a lot about this. Coaching is an interesting position to be in because when the athlete is standing on the stage receiving an accolade, the coach may or may not be mentioned, right? Like it's not a prerequisite that the name of the coach is in the foreground. And for a coach, I think a true coach, that's not the point. I think for a true coach, it's like there is just this deep desire to see the people you're coaching do well, like meet potential. And you're part of the stewardship game in that person's life. Is like you're trying to direct, hone, guide, and basically how this person who's usually highly talented in a specific area to become laser focused in that area so that they can really do something outstanding.
Yeah.
And I think that it's interesting because usually we coach people with greater levels of talent in a specific area than we have ourselves. Which, if you don't understand coaching, feels like a disqualification. Like there's a certain point, and when you really coaching, where you're like, oh, like I am now giving instruction that I could not fulfill. I can't run that play. I can't do that thing, but I know what needs to be done. Having that kind of posture and humility, that's challenging. Joel, you've done a fair amount of coaching, probably more coaching than anyone else in this group, and what are your thoughts around that? Like, are you willing to coach people without natural talent?
Well, okay. So
I mean, you're here, aren't you?
Yeah. I think one of the thoughts that's just rolling in my head right now is that actually people use the word coaching in different ways.
Yeah.
And there's an element of coaching, like if you get leadership coaching training, there's actually a whole bunch of different streams, and it varies from, on kind of one end of the spectrum, coaching being considered something that's more along the lines of consulting, where it's you're the guy with the answers and you come in and you say do this, don't do this, and everything will work itself out. And then on the other end of the coaching spectrum, some people, when they talk about coaching, they actually go, I'm not bringing any answers to the table. I'm just a question asker. And I'm here to draw out the stuff that's already inside of the people that I'm coaching. And so, like in the coaching training that I did, we were trained actually to 95% of the time essentially not make any statements whatsoever, to only use questions, which is a really interesting, a totally different approach. And I think actually to say that one end of the spectrum or the other is the right way, I wouldn't agree with that. I think there's moments where you need to be the coach that comes in like a sports coach and says, do this, run this play this way, you're taking this position, you're doing this. And that's exactly what's needed. And that's the right kind of coaching for that moment. And there's other moments where you need to come in and you need to say, so guys, what do you think? Where are we at? What's needed here? And not be the guy who's saying, do this, don't do that. And so in that realm, I think a big part of leadership is figuring out which is which moment is which thing. And I think all of us tend to one end of the spectrum or the other. Some of us tend to be the guy who just comes in and says, all right, here's the plan, make it happen. And some of us don't like doing that. And we go, okay, friends, what do you think? Let's figure it out together. And there's like huge value to both, but you got to know the right application for each of those things. And the coaching space is so important. And say your question again.
Yeah, I just think like how important is talent. And when you talk about the spectrums, like on the one spectrum, if you're just letting the person know like this is the play, do this, then essentially you're somewhat in control of what's happening, but you're still relying on their ability to execute. On the other side, you are kind of like opening it up and allowing the thought process or the like that wrestle, that internal struggle to be theirs as well. And I think those are you're asking two different things of the person you're coaching. And sometimes it's a combination. And I have done some cross-country coaching at a high school level, which I love, cross-country running. And I remember this one race, which was fantastic. Probably my favorite coaching moment, even though I probably made a fool of myself. I was so excited. But we had this runner that was capable of winning the regional championship, the Northern BC. But he hadn't won a race in the season yet, but I knew he had it in him and he was in the right position to do it. But this other kid had won every race up until this point, up until the final. But I also knew that he was insecure in his abilities. I could just sense it. I just felt it. I'm just like, and the way he ran was like in front of the crowd. He would make his move. Usually it's a 2-lap in the cross country that we run. And so in front of the crowd, he would make his move to the front and then he would dominate on the last lap. And so I told my runner, I'm like, this is what I want you to do. I want you to be at his side and or ahead, like jostling with him for the lead throughout the first round. But I said, when we're going past the crowd, please let him lead and let him go out of view leading so that he thinks he's dominating you, because that's where his brain is at. And then just stick on his shoulder. And then my coaching was then take him just at the line, basically. But my athlete was part of the wrestle. And he literally took him like almost a kilometer before the end. And just when he came into view for the final kind of piece of the race, my athlete just took off on this guy. And I was worried at first because this other runner was strong, but mentally we crushed him, which was fantastic because it literally worked like so well. And then my runner took the wrestle and felt what was going on with the other athlete and like just literally just dropped him dead. Like it was wonderful. Wow. It was fantastic. And I love that. And I love the psychology of it. And it was a thrilling moment for me, but it was a neat piece of coaching as well, because part of the result of that was coaching, and part of it was the athlete taking responsibility and recognizing opportunity, which was wonderful. So fun.
Man, I love that. And I think there's something in us that is made for this connection to, sounds like a bunch of big words, the actualization of potential. Like when you see, easy to see with kids.
Yes.
Easier to see with kids, where it's like, oh man, I see this in you.
Yeah.
And then when they step into it, you're like,
Yeah.
yes. But I think we can lose that with adults and in the workplace. And often I see it. I think the trade, maybe the trade space isn't any more than any other line of work, but slip into the negative side.
Oh, I think it is.
Where people are, it's like when you see somebody performing under their potential, then we hit it. We go, man, come on. Like, you're slipping. Rather than having that coaching mentality of like, I see what could be possible and wanting to just like get into that. And I think part of it is just, honestly, I think our busyness, I feel like this is a big part of the struggle for me, is I am so busy running from thing to thing to thing to thing that I don't get or make spaces in my life, in my leadership, to stop and even like do any kind of assessment to think about what could be possible with my team. Like I just recently had a conversation with, I gotta not be too specific here, but we're looking at a specific leadership role and thinking about, okay, like looking at some external options for filling this role. And somebody said, well, what about this person on your team already? Actually, I think they'd do awesome in that space. And it was like a slap in the face where I was like, yeah, that person does have the capability to do that and actually could probably do it really well. And I never saw it. I've been working shoulder to shoulder with them for the last few years. And I didn't even think of them as a potential candidate. And somebody external said it. And then it was like so glaringly obvious to me. And it made me realize, like, I'm not stopping to do that thinking. Like in the sports space, a basketball coach studies his players.
Yeah.
Like he's got a book on each player on the team and like, what are their weaknesses? What are their strengths? What causes them to stumble? What were their highlight moments? What are the specific drills that they need to do that are different from other players on the team because they need to increase their vert or they need to build some endurance or whatever. It's like each player's got like a stat book. Man, that is like so not the way that we work in the business world. I don't study my team, if I'm being honest. Like I aspire to.
Yeah.
And it's something that I just have to make a choice to make space in my calendar for. But if you want to be a good coach, if you want to build a good team, you got to do that. You got to have a stat book on like, this is who I've got.
Yeah.
And this is who's got what. And this is who could become what. And these are the things that would get us there. But it's like, that is so not natural. That is not what you learn in business school.
I think, like, I know I've heard on the podcast listening to, especially the two of you guys speaking with each other, that like one of the reoccurring themes that I've heard is just how much you appreciate dreaming with each other. And so like, if I think about sort of the progression of how businesses start, then, you know, usually you come out just guns blazing and you have all of the belief in yourself and just ready to rock and roll. And then maybe your team starts to grow and you start believing in them. You never hire somebody and you don't believe in them. That always starts on the positive.
Well, sometimes that happens, and that's a mistake.
Yeah. But
Been there.
But then, like, it's been interesting because, like, Josh, I know you've been in business for 10 years, and like now you've only known Joel for the last couple years.
Mm-hmm.
But having somebody else to believe in you has been impactful, and to be able to dream with you about what's possible, what are you capable of. And like, I know a lot of the value that I've found in this group has been exactly that, just having somebody to dream with and to tell me that I am capable of something, or that I'm even good at it. And so I know that other business owners really struggle to find that, and probably in a lot of cases they just don't actually have people that believe in them, that have that coaching perspective, to be able to tell them that you do actually have talent.
Yeah.
You have a lot of skills, like, but you got to pull your head out of your butt and you focus on this stuff instead of that stuff. Hire somebody for that.
Yes.
Well, going off dreaming, like, I have big audacious goals. And when I tell most people in
Big,
my life,
hairy, audacious goals.
oh yeah,
They got hair.
when I tell most people in my life, even other good long-term friends of mine who also own small businesses, they're like, the disbelief just, they can't hide it, because they're like, that's right. I'd like to see you actually pull that off. You get that. So I can't dream around most people. And I think that's really critical when you're looking for, because everybody should have mentorship, which is something that has kept me and Kenton close forever. And it's also one of the main thing that keeps us core between us. But the best thing that I love about this group and having like-minded people around me is I can dream, and people support me in my dreams, and they're like, yeah, do it, like, go,
or not, but if one of us is saying maybe that's not the dream you should have, we listen to it different than someone that just automatically says no. Right.
I think that's important,
because we have, like, I know, like, you had a million different, like, potential ways to go. It felt like a lot of different ways to go in between when you, after selling out of one company and moving, etc. Like, there's a lot of opportunity. So part of our job, I think, as friends, however you want to look at that, was to be like, maybe not that one, right? Like, that was, we had that discussion.
That was actually a huge thing that I valued with you guys, was that just having, well, like, the board of advisors, kind of like what you were valuing. I needed somebody to be able to bounce ideas off of, and to speak into not just the opportunity, but my ability within the opportunity, and even just to offer a little bit of discernment, just like, are you sure you actually want to work with those guys? Because I'm an opportunist, as I'm sure, like, most business people are, and when you start that relationship, it's like, oh man, this is gonna be so great, there's no downside. And then, like, you need to have somebody to do that actual risk assessment with. If you want to make a good decision, you have to do a risk assessment,
which is entirely a different process than what you're referring to, which is a friend just not believing. That's a completely different thing.
Well, it'll crush your,
totally.
Like, there's something about being around like-minded people where you get a synergy, which when we dream together, we get excited.
Totally.
As opposed to the other people in your life who, when you, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Oh, why would you do that? That sounds like way too much work. That's outside of your scope. It's just like, and then you walk out of it just deflated. And you're not going to pursue your big dreams and goals when you have people like that speaking into your life.
It's like casting your pearls before swine. Like, there's this scripture reference, and it's not that your friends are swine. That's not the point, I don't think of it. I mean, we all are to some degree, I guess. There's a German song that says "Männer sind Schweine," men are pigs, and there's some truth to that. But the
I don't think that's the only place that's said.
but the point is not to degrade friendships, but it's just that there's certain things that you don't say in front of certain people. And it's not because you don't love them.
I would say most people.
Yeah, I would argue
people in our position where you're trying to develop as a leader and you know, be constantly growing, because that's the thing. Most people are kind of stuck in their mindset, and it sounds, I don't want to make it sound like, oh, we've got things figured out and we're going places and other people aren't. But at the same time, you know, just statistically speaking, the people you grow up with, the people who are your long-term friends, very likely they're just comfortable with their life.
Yeah.
And there is an audacious few of us that want to shoot for the moon. And unless you have other people around you who also want to shoot for the moon, it's a common saying. Show me the 5 closest people to you and I'll show you your future.
Yeah.
And it's not that you can't associate with those other people and have a relationship with them.
And quality relationship.
Yeah. But disclosing your dreams, if you try and dream with those people, that's where they're going to hinder you.
Yeah. And not only that, they will begin to resent you. And that will defeat a relationship. And I've seen that in my own life where I will talk to people who are, what's the polite word I say would be unentrepreneurial. You know, so wonderful people, but just definitely not dreamers, not like steady, good people in your society. Like this is not like we're not saying these people are not valuable. They're amazing people, but very different mindset.
Yeah.
And I was thrown into a group at one point in my life where most of the people were of this nature. And I would just talk because I'm, you know, just be like, yeah, I'm thinking about this, thinking about that, not thinking anything of it until there was like a bit of conflict at one point. And this one individual was talking to me and really, really criticizing me for dreaming, like really harshly, like in a way that I was just, I was shocked. I was like, whoa, like, because when I was dreaming to him, he was seeing it as this is what I am going to do. And I was just throwing out ideas like, this is where I'm at a bit of a crossroads. I'm thinking about this or that. And yeah, that was not understood at all. Like not even close. And I don't consider myself to be a bad communicator. However, I was really not understanding my audience like at all. And so I just all of a sudden realized I got to shut up in this setting. Like if I talk, I got to let people lead and just kind of not be that guy that gets like misunderstood because I'm just being stupid.
Yeah.
It was a big lesson for me. And it's changed the way that I relate to people when I first meet them. Not that I'm trying to be like super cautious, but there are people who you instantly realize, and they're exceptional, that you instantly realize they're going to celebrate you no matter what. Like they're going to make the effort. Like if you go a million times further than they go, they're still going to celebrate you and not resent you. Rare people, but wonderful to have in your life.
Yeah. That's this guy.
Yeah,
for
man.
me.
Yeah.
I swear the first time we actually sat and had a conversation, I was just excited about my life and my business, and I was like, holy cow, I gotta sit with this guy more because he, you know, you're rare in that sense where, because like you said, a lot of people, like even Chris and I, we go way back, but it took a long time working at arm's length to really get to know each other and vet the field a little bit and be like, yeah, you know what, I think our values align. And I'm really glad that over the years we've, you know, gotten closer and closer and do business at a deeper level. But it was different with Joel. And just right away, first conversation, I could just tell you had my best interests at heart. And yeah, it's why I love doing business with you.
Part of that was that the pump was primed a little bit by having conversations with all these guys because I heard about you from them. And so I was pumped about you before we even sat down and had our first conversation. So that it wasn't just I wouldn't say that I have that same effect on everybody that I sit down with. Like it's that there's something to the atmosphere. Like I think because of conversations that we had, I went into that conversation with a mindset of like, this is a guy who I can connect with this like this on. And so that there's something to that too. Like I think the whole mindset piece is like there's certain people that you can just
I would agree with that a little bit. I definitely think that's a part to play, but also some people like you just carry a trustworthy spirit and energy around them. And when you sit down, you have a conversation, and you just know there's something different about their character that just really shines through. And those are, like you were saying, those are just amazing people. And I would argue they're rare.
Yeah.
But when you can actually sit and just be like, okay, this person's going to look out for my best interests and my company's best interests, and they're going to make me a better person just by communicating with and being around. So.
Well, and I think it's an area that we can all develop. Like, I think that when we hear, like if we can step back from ourselves and analyze our reactions to other people's successes in particular, like when we're chatting with someone, I mean, I actually, it's exciting to me that pretty much everyone in my world, if they have a win, they want to share it with me. Like, to me, that is like, there's two things about that I love. Number one is I love the fact that people are moving forward. So that excites me. Number two, it excites me that people recognize that it excites me. Like that means a lot to me because like otherwise, once you move past, and again, this is my coaching side of me, is like, I am right now, like I was sitting in my daughter's defense of her thesis, understanding only half of what she was saying because she's so far past me in science that I can't critique it. I can only appreciate it. and that is thrilling. Like, that just makes my heart warm. And I think that, but and while that's the case, I also try in my life to verbally back up what I'm feeling so that people understand that this is exciting for me. Because I think that this is where leaders become lonely. Leaders become lonely when they feel like everyone is resenting their success. I have a buddy who said it well. He's like when he talks about anything of his success, and he's wildly successful businessman here locally, and he's just like, he says people often just look at him and say, "Oh, must be nice," as if somehow he just fell into whatever success he's in. And he said it just makes him not want to talk to people. And I'm like, that's really sad because we should celebrate each other.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I had a conversation that was a bit on the flip side of that this week, where I was sitting down with another business owner, and they asked me to give just kind of a quick rundown of like, what's the history of your business? How did you get started? Tell me the story. So I did the little 5-minute version, and something that I kept saying throughout the story was like, and God just set this up, and then God blessed us with this, and then God opened this door. And I just like, I had this series of things in there, and I got to the end of our little kind of summary of our history, and this person said, well, make sure that you take credit for all the hard work that you did. Like, God didn't do all that. And I walked away from the conversation, and I just kept chewing on that. Because I don't know, it just grabbed me somehow. And so this idea of like, how much should I take credit for? How much should I give God credit for? Because there's this thing of like, we do work hard, and we want to celebrate that. We want to celebrate each other and the effort that we put in. But the more I thought about it, the more actually I thought I want to give the credit to God and not take it for myself. Like, I think I have worked hard. I have sacrificed and put in a lot of effort. But man, I just like, I can't take any of those bits of hard work and effort and anything, talent, and not trace it back to God somehow. And so I think, yes, like when I see any of you working hard, I want to celebrate that. I want to go, nicely done. But I also think there's so much about this that's just a gift. And I don't want to take credit where credit's not due. And actually the whole piece of gratitude is so important. I think when we start just like taking credit for ourselves of like, yeah, look what I've accomplished. And I pulled myself up by my own bootstraps, and looking at other people like that's the same case for everybody, then I think we get into this weird space gets toxic really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And gratitude is kind of the antidote for that, of looking at our history, looking at even our own ability to work hard and to get stuff done, and seeing that through the lens of gratitude rather than like a, man, I'm awesome.
Yeah.
I think creates a different atmosphere. And that kind of atmosphere is I think what you're talking about, where it's like when you sit down with those people who live that way, with that attitude of gratitude,
Nice.
there's something about that you just want to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It creates potential. Whereas when there's this atmosphere of self-made man,
Yeah.
then it creates, I think that breeds a spirit of competition, which is this measurement of ourselves against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes about your success is not my success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you succeed, I'm diminished.
Yeah.
And then it just wipes out all of the stuff that makes the work that we do great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is kind of an interesting point to maybe explore a little bit. I was just thinking about a couple of the themes that we just discussed, and one of them is just the concept of becoming people that, you know, have the kind of connection that we're talking about. And I just think about, you know, when Josh and I first met, our wives were roommates, and we were not initially friends. We did not connect.
What are you saying, Chris?
I'm saying that was a long time ago. but
Nice.
what I have seen, and to your point, Joel, like, yes, I definitely think that we are all gifted with incredible things, and we can't take a lot of credit for much of who we've become. But at the same time, I've consistently seen Josh, especially over the last decade, make choices to be developed
Yeah.
and to become self-aware, especially in his leadership, and to become somebody that you would resonate with on like your first meeting. And I've seen you grow up too, a lot, and so it's just funny having as much history as I do with both of you. But yeah, I can imagine what it would have been like if you'd both known each other 20 years ago. It probably wouldn't have.
You wouldn't have had the same impression of me. I can guarantee, because I know why you. Back when our wives were roommates, I remember the person I was, and it largely lines up with what you were saying, because to me, it's so much about where's your focus. And for me, at that time of my life, when I was a very, very young adult, I was super inward focused. It was all about me. It was all about competition. And I had an ego. Let's just put it that way. And very much the world revolved around me. And I think what gives so much, like, yes, gratitude and being grateful for your past and not just taking all the credit for everything, but also just not looking at yourself and putting yourself up on that pedestal, but having your focus be outwardly directed towards the growth and development of others and giving credit to others more so than just always putting it on yourself. I can firsthand say, like, that is the biggest difference in my leadership from when you knew me back before I even started Bridgeline to when we connected over 10 years later. Because back in the day, even through and it's been the grind of getting forged through this decade of shedding my own pride and ego, which is actually, because you guys could probably all say you guys wouldn't do business with me to the level we're doing it now if I was the same person as I was 3 to 5 years ago even.
Well, unfortunately, that's probably true of all of us, because I think that we're all on this journey and this is the exciting thing, and this is what develops brotherhood, I think, is that we are all wrestling. We're wrestling against the things that could overwhelm us from the negative side, and we're wrestling towards the light in some, but also carried by grace, which is something that we recognize, right? And so there is this wrestle, and there is this being carried, but despite how progress comes, it's coming. Like we're determined to see that, and I think that is uniting. And that's something that when you are shoulder to shoulder going in a direction with people, there's something about that like it bonds you. And I think that's kind of what we're participating in. And I think what we're encouraging is for people to find the right people to be in their corner for specifically to move forward. Like if you want to move forward, you need people beside you that believe.
Totally.
Who's beside you is unbelievably important.
And sometimes you got to seek it out. Like it's not always natural.
Yeah. I had a mentor years ago, and he got me to do this exercise. It's super simple. Anybody can do it. I may have even mentioned it before, but you just take a piece of paper and you draw an X through it. So you got 4 triangles, and the bottom triangle is downward mentors. So it's people that you're ahead of, that you're investing into. And the top triangle is people that are ahead of you, that are investing into you, that you're learning from. And then side to side is inward and outward peer mentors. So just people that are peers. Inward is people who are in kind of the same space as you, and outward is people who are in a really different space than you.
Okay.
And so you just fill it out with names. Here's all the people in my life that I'm investing into or that are investing into me. And man, it's fascinating. Like I did this exercise, I filled this out, and I realized the side to side triangles, man, I got loads of people. The top triangle, pretty empty. And the bottom triangle at that stage in my life was almost entirely empty. And I was like, wow, that's not good. But then the invitation was to be intentional with it.
Yeah.
Okay, you recognize this, now what?
Yeah.
And so I made some choices. I was like, okay, I put some names in that bottom triangle. I'm like, I'm going to pursue this. I haven't been, but I put some names in there. I'm going to go after these people. I'm going to invest into them. And I put some names in the top triangle. And I said, I'm going to go after those people.
Right on.
And ask them to invest in me.
Good.
And I think in this space, like that's part of what we're inviting people into is like starts with the recognition of, man, this is so good.
Yeah.
And I'm hungry for that. And then make the choices to go after it.
Totally. We're going to wrap this episode up, but I have a question. We're at the beginning of a year and we're looking forward, and it's the first time we're all together in the room, which has been wonderful. I really appreciate this. I just have a really I want a knee-jerk scripture that's kind of been your guiding light, kind of like a life theme scripture for you. And if you got to think too hard about it, it's probably not the right one. And so, which is why I didn't prep you for this question at all. And so, for example, mine just kind of a guiding light scripture for me has been Psalm chapter 1. And it talks about, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the way of sinners, or sits in the seat of the scornful. It starts that way. And so it's just about being careful about who you take guidance from. And I think it fits this discussion a lot, which is why this discussion is kind of a theme thing for me personally, is who we coach, how we're coached, all of those things really matters. And the result in this particular scripture is that you will bear fruit in your season. And there's 2 things about that I've always found, it's just been a life thing for me, is that number 1, you're not always bearing the fruit that you want to see because it may not be your season. So that's always been a good thing for me to remember. Number 2, if you're sitting in wise counsel, you will bear fruit. It's just a question of the right timing. So that's my thought.
That's really good.
My life scripture's a little simpler than that. Philippians 4:13 has always been my go-to. For I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Nice and easy, but it's always been a very inspiring, driven scripture to me. But in this season, Romans 12 keeps coming up, and about being a living sacrifice and really serving others. And again, like we just discussed, keep dropping the ego, keep dropping the pride. And I'm here to serve others and not just my own self and my own goals. But why am I doing what am I doing? Is it for my own self-gain, or is it for the benefit of others? So that's my theme going forward this year.
Beauty.
I feel like I want to chew on this some more, but the first thing that comes to my mind is when Jesus was asked, what's the greatest commandment? And he says, love God, all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then he tags on, and love your neighbor as yourself. And just this theme of love God, love people. And that everything, I think it's Romans 13 says the whole law is summed up in this.
Yeah.
Love. And I think really like there's so much leadership and business and decisions and strategy and all this stuff, but I think it's a great thing for me to go back to is that everything hangs on that piece, on the love thing. Like I could build $1 billion business, and I could have offices all over the world, and I could, you name it, be on a cover of a magazine and whatever. But if I don't figure that piece out, man, it's an empty bag of bones.
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
My verse has always been John 10:10, specifically the living. You know, I came that you might have life and live it to the fullest, and
to the words of Christ.
Yeah, the words of Christ, absolutely. Very important specifications.
Yes.
But this season has been a really interesting one for just exploring a different level within that verse, I think, because my context has entirely changed, and I'm just finding it really interesting to invite people into my beliefs in some ways, or in a lot of ways, because that whole, what does life look like lived to the fullest? And I don't, if I'm completely candid, which I feel like that's kind of the point of the conversation, then I really struggle to feel like I have that fullness to be able to invite people into. It's like I have a rich relationship with my Creator, but the actual expression of my life doesn't always feel like it meets that fullness. And I mean, that's kind of the fun of the journey, and it is really awesome to be able to like walk through that with people, but at the same time, it's a strange thing to try and invite people into, and I don't feel like I've achieved it. Maybe that's just a perspective thing too, but that's where I'm starting this year.
That's great.
It's really good.
Thank you guys. That was a lot of fun.